Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pit Stop Prodigy version 2. We had one about 6 months ago, and this is the second version of it. We're at Imola tonight. This is the second attempt at live streaming it. You're joined by me. I'm Harry Goswell. I'm the founder of ACM, and we've also got Sam the Derg
Derg.
with us tonight.
Yes. I am a racing driver for Shulker Blue Shark E-Racing. I would normally be probably on the track and probably nowhere near pole. But yeah, no, physical reasons have prevented me from being able to race tonight. So I'm joining Harry here in the commentary booth. And I've got to say, the seats here are much more comfortable than the actual car. So
Yeah, there's no random bouncing, especially at Imola when you're gonna have those
yeah,
massive curves.
yeah, definitely. No need for any impromptu back surgeries afterwards. No Max Verstappen moments.
But yeah,
And
so
things are-
we're in the final couple of moments of qualifying at the moment. Unfortunately, we missed out most of the action here. But quick recap: we've got some very fast drivers on the grid tonight. We've currently got John Gray, who is at the top. He's got 140.7 at the moment, and then all the way up until about P4, drivers are within the 140s. Further down the grid, obviously it gets quite a bit more spread out. It's sort of to about 11th place, everyone's within a second of each other, and then up to 16th, 2 seconds, and so on. You can see it all on the side, but obviously as it is now, at the end of qualifying there'll be no more action for now.
we might see some changes for position if there are some drivers that are still out on a fast and most importantly a valid lap.
Yeah, we've got a couple. Nikonen's about a 10th or so up, and he's just about to cross the finish line. Halter is also about 3/10 up. That'll put them in about 4th or 5th position. Nikinen finished in P6. Halter's just coming round the final couple of corners now. I'll use this moment to talk a bit about this race. It is a 75-minute race. That's an hour and 15 minutes. And there is 2 mandated pit stops in it. There's not much else required for a pit stop, so you can literally just come in, sit there for literally a second and go back out, and that counts as a pit stop. So we'll see some alternate strategies tonight. With sort of the drivers just coming in and doing a splash and a dash compared to the ones that are changing tyres or fuel. So I
There are
believe that's
no need for any refueling or tire swaps at the pit stop.
no need. Obviously, tyre change that'll benefit you with the speed, and refuel to last the 75 minutes. Some cars are certainly going to need that. So maybe the Ferraris, which are better at fuel consumption, might be seeing some bonus here, but it will be interesting to see what happens, for sure. Cool. So the drivers are on the grid now. They're just setting up their cars before we get underway with an hour and 15 minutes of racing. Quite a big grid that we got on us tonight. To say it's a one-off race, I believe there's 26.
26 drivers
Yeah,
on the grid. Yeah.
no, that's good. It's good attendance. That we used to run events like this and only get about 8 people in them. So to see.
And I've got 2 Mustangs as well. The Mustang being the newest car added to ACC. Not a lot of setups, and surprising to see there's more people driving that than I thought. In that I thought everyone would just go back to cars that they were previously happy with, but I'm really happy to see a couple of big American muscle out there on the track. I'm looking forward to see how the Mustangs perform today.
Yeah, for sure. I think with it being a new car, generally we see a lot of people switch to it for quite a while. Also, we saw that with the McLaren and the Ferrari. But the Mustang, I've not seen too many people go for it, which is a bit of a change. I do know it's quite unsteady on the rear end, which could be a reason for that. But it is
It has
also
a
quite
crazy
different.
torque curve.
It's very different on the gears as well, from what I've heard.
Mm.
I've not actually had a chance to drive it yet. I've been too busy with other stuff, but
Yeah, from what I've heard from all my friends that have driven it, they've described it as an American Bentley. So take that as you will. But from my half a lap of attempting to drive it at Misano worth of experience, I can say Really cool looking car, not for me.
Yeah,
Doesn't
like I
doesn't
said,
doesn't suit my driving style.
I'm still yet to try it out. So when that day comes, I'll let you know how I find it. But until then, be unknown.
Indeed.
Right, the drivers are pulling away from their grid boxes now. See John and Tumara pulling off, the rest of the grid coming out behind them. Gives us a bit of chance to look at the liveries as well. There's quite a lot of ACM liveries on the grid tonight, which is good to see. And some other
Indeed.
ones which are badged in the ACM. It's good to see a different, a large range of cars with us down tonight as well.
Indeed, yeah, it's a nice break from going on LFM and literally just seeing the McLarens and the Ferraris, because that's all anyone on LFM drives. No hate to LFM, of course, but you do see a lot of drivers kind of gravitate back towards the same cars, and even with Discord Series, of course, being an ongoing championship where you know, technically, over a long period of time, your performance matters. We do have a few people that just kind of pop in and do a couple races, and the thing is, don't have to stick to one car. You can switch to basically whatever car you like between rounds, which I think is really cool because you get to see a lot of variation, like we are today.
Yeah, no, that's what I like about the Discord series. It's sort of something that's, with usual championships, you sort of feel obliged to come back and race. Whereas with this one, it's just sort of, if you're free, you might as well join, sort of thing. Because it's obviously, it's different variants. So obviously we've got the one tonight, which is 75 minutes and 2 mandatory pit stops. We've had the one on Tuesday, which was only the old GT3 cars, and we've had some high temperatures. We've got that next Tuesday. Loads of different formats. So it's just something different, really, and especially when we can fill the grid like this, it's good to do these sorts of races because it's things that you practice for that you never think you'll need, but you do end up needing eventually.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know in some of my races, I've ended up doing 2 pit stops. It's not because they're mandatory. It's mostly because I end up getting in incidents and taking some damage.
Yeah.
So hopefully the drivers today can keep their noses clean and can, you know, not get damage on lap 1 from, you know, all that contact. We can see the drivers now going, or looking like they're going to start going 2x2. Probably out of Variante Alta, they're going to be going side by side. Also, shout out to the F1 Aston Martin livery coloured Aston Martin.
Yeah.
I think it looks very, very nice. I don't know whose it is.
That's
it might be
Prior,
Pryor's.
isn't it? Yeah, it's Prior. We've actually made that an official ACM livery due to how good it is.
I mean, would I be biased to say I think it does look really quite nice?
It
Probably.
does. He's done an excellent job on it. It looks
100%.
exactly like the Formula 1 cars. Yeah,
going around the road.
We'll try and focus on some other liveries during this race because I know there's some good ones on the grid.
Definitely.
But for now, it is the race start. So an hour and 15 minutes is about to get underway. John Gray and Tumara are neck and neck as they go 70 miles an hour down the pit straight. I know it's quite a long wait for the start here at Imola. It's sort of almost on the second corner as such. Second corner being the second small gradient.
It can certainly make a couple of drivers impatient because you come out of the Ravazza, it's like you're constantly looking at your watch, just waiting for those green lights to go out as we're seeing the drivers now 2x2 coming around final corner. Well, say final corner, just coming up to that line, and it's green, green, green as we go racing here at Imola. Immediately Tumara looking to the right-hand side of Gray, trying to get that move done immediately. Is he going to get it done around the outside of the first corner? It looks like he's got it done!
John Gray's a bit unsteady on the edge there. There's a car over.
Yeah, there was a car, I think, that was playing in the gravel a little bit, but that is Gray immediately down in second place. Tumara immediately making his name known, getting his way into first place. Before the first real corner, we can see the grid is starting to find its order as we've got 3 cars off at the second chicane in the gravel. That is not what you want to see.
That was so many cars going off at once. I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, it's like one of them went off, and I think the other drivers behind might have just tried to follow their line and ended up following them in at the gravel. And the only time you want to see cars in the gravel is probably if you're in a WRC stage, which is unfortunately not right now. So coming through Acqua Minerale now, where we've got, you know, the leaders are doing a very, very good job keeping their noses clean. I think most of the pack's been actually, I'd say, quite well behaved. We've had a few offs, but I don't think we've had any major contact, which I was almost expecting to see with a grid this big and just lots of drivers in such a small space. Imola being quite a tight track as well, very difficult to overtake on. I mean, I say it's difficult to overtake. We saw Tamara just immediately got up into first place, just right off the bat.
I mean, saying that, John Gray is looking for a move now already. I mean, I was about to say that he's a driver that does not give up under any circumstances, and you can see here, on the second lap he's going for it. He's got an hour and 13 minutes left to make this move, but he's going for it straight away, and I don't blame him.
Oh, he's fighty here through the first corner. He does look for the move. Tamara says, you'll have to go the long way around. John Gray does the sensible thing, and he seems to back out from it. This is pushing him back towards Maya in the Audi just behind. And I do want to formally apologise before this. If anyone has a surname that I mispronounce, it's because I'm British and can't pronounce surnames that I don't know. So my apologies if I mispronounce a surname, just because I don't know how to pronounce it.
Further down the grid, sort of about 15th place, we've got Gaven, Jemiel Blanchet, and above. They're all sort of very close together battling. You'll see as we go through this corner, it's just a train of cars, sort of one behind the other. I'll try and stay with the sort of P1, P3 battle, but I do just want to focus on the rest of the grid at the start here as well. Pryor's actually on the rear of Holter. I know Maya and Holter are both teammates in the Audi. We saw a couple of weeks ago at the 69 minutes of Monza, Maya actually got beaten on the final corner by John Gray. So he'll be looking for revenge tonight. Obviously he's in P3 at the moment, right behind the tree up front. That's a dive bomb and a half by Pryor there. He goes wide on the second to last corner and he slips back in behind Holter. Good reaction from Holter there to sort of miss out getting involved. I'm going to switch back onto the leaders because I think he's going to go back and for more action here.
Yeah, they are very, very close together as Gray's looking for a move up the inside this time at turn 1. Can he make it stick? There's a bit of contact, forces Tamara off. Is Maya going to look for one back? He does. Can't get it off. Can't get past him. Tamara stays in the lead after taking a little bit of gravel, as we can see Iverson with a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, that was for position on start, I believe.
Position on start. Oh,
yeah, it's not one you want to get because it's an immediate drive-through.
That is
that sets you back earlier on.
Definitely. However, I know he is quite new to sim racing. It might actually even be a little bit better for him to have a little bit of clear air. Doesn't have any cars to worry about. He can just worry about putting in those consistent laps. Sometimes it's a little bit disheartening to get something like a drive-through or to have something happen at the start, but honestly, you can see it as both a curse and a blessing at the same time. You can have these drivers which will, you know, they might flourish in those sorts of conditions. Look at how much curb all of those cars are taking. I'm used to F1 when I'm seeing those cars practically go in midair like they're playing Need for Speed Most Wanted. But they're fighting. They're taking a lot of that curb, and the cars just don't react to it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw John Gray using all the track available there. He even went on the grass on the side to try and find some space to get past Umar. He is desperate for that position. Obviously, he tried the outside on the second lap. He tried the inside on the third lap. What will he try on the fourth lap? It looks like the outside at the moment. We've got a car leaving the pit lane. That might be Iverson, so that's going to add into the mix. That
is Iverson leaving the pit lane. We can also see Lutner in the 927 Mustang looking in for a pit stop now. As Gray immediately... Oh, that is a bit of a sketchy incident. It looked like Gray maybe might have run Tamara out of road there, but we're going to have to give that a little bit of a look back. Gray is now in the lead. Tamara down in third place. Maya sticking behind Gray in the Audi. I can see that's about a tenth as we're looking down. Yeah, it just looks like maybe not enough room given. You can see Maya. Look at that at the end of that replay. It looked like Maya was about to make another move on Gray.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it looked like John Gray got a little bit unsteady on the
keeping his nose clean for the most part.
and sort of had a bit of a door bang with Tamara, and that obviously sent him wide. Obviously, Tamara was able to keep it in P3, so he had to come back at it, but I have a feeling there might be a penalty for John Gray after the race.
Yeah, which would be unfortunate. We've seen him. He's very feisty. I'd say that's how I'd describe that move. That was certainly saying, this is my road. This is where I am.
Yeah, I think he gets quite defensive because obviously he started in P1 and he was overtaken on the first corner of the first lap, and I think he wants to get that back. And I don't blame him for it. Obviously, like I was saying at the start, there's an hour and 13 minutes. There was no need to rush it. But obviously, when you're so close behind the driver and you know there's an opportunity for an overtake, you sort of lose all logical thinking, and you sort of just go for that move and go from there, really.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've said I'm gonna do something in a race. Like, I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna try and push for positions, and I end up that is a car that is not facing the right way through that chicane. I'm sorry, I cut myself off mid-sentence. What happened there?
So that was, I think that's, what was that? That was Halter up the inside of Tamara into the first corner.
Was that Halter coming out of the pit lane? And he
No.
yeah.
So that was for position, because Halter was running in 4th, and Tamara was in 3rd, obviously.
Oh, I must have been thinking of a different driver. My apologies. Wow, that was an unfortunate incident there. Just turns him round, taps him round, spins round. That is definitely a bit of a not only to the ego, but probably to the car. There might be a little bit of damage on that McLaren.
It's actually promoted Pryor into 3rd place in that Aston Martin as he goes. He takes too much curve there.
Yeah.
Tamara's looking to get his 3rd place back. He's looking to get his 1st place back, but I don't think he'll do that for quite a while. And as we mentioned already, strategy this evening will be a primary focus for these drivers. I think drivers will gain quite a lot of time just by coming in and well, maybe just taking a stop and go 0 seconds, really. Obviously, you get those drivers that do take fuel. I think the smart play this evening is to try and fuel save, to be honest. So you lose more time stood still than you will doing a bit of fuel saving on the track. But yeah, it was unfortunate to see that incident between Halter and Tamara on the first corner. We're on board with Gaven now. He's behind Ackerman. Ackerman in the one of 2 Mustangs that are on the grid. I'm not sure there's going to be a move made here. Gaven was very late on the brakes there, but no change significantly there. Gaven is usually in the McLaren, so it's interesting to see him in the Ferrari this evening.
Yeah, definitely. The Ferrari, I would say, from my personal experience, coming from the McLaren and going to the Ferrari, there are lots of setups that make it feel a lot more stable. I feel like one of the quicker ways of driving the Ferrari is even with higher TC. From my experience, even if you have setups that are at TCs as high as even 8 or 9, you can still be just as quick as a slidey McLaren, but you can set those times so much more consistently because you're not as worried about spinning out mid-corner. You have more of a, I'd say you have more of an understeery setup, and as I always say, understeer, way easier to correct. Oversteer, way more fun to correct. But at the end of the day, even though it's a bit boring, it's easy, and you can correct it quite easily. I'm looking now, personally, at the gap between Kelly and Courtney down in 14th and 15th. That gap's probably going to open up a little bit, because Courtney has gone bouncing over those curbs. Just behind him through the final chicane, Variante Alta, coming through the 2 Ragazzas now, or Ravazza. I need to remember what it is. I have a track map, don't know why I'm not looking at it. Rivazza, that's the one.
Tamara's going around the outside of Pryor in the first corner, and that's a move done. We know Pryor is quite a smart driver. He's good with his racecraft, so I don't think it was quite a tight battle there as it was we saw with Gray and Tamara. But obviously Tamara's now back in P3. He's got about 7 seconds to catch back up to where he was up with the leaders, but the leaders are battling, so that's going to slow him down quite a bit. Henderson's now actually in the action now. He sent a video of him doing an 808 at Nordschleife, so I was expecting him to be definite P3 finishers tonight. Maybe qualifying didn't go as well as he'd hoped. He might have had traffic or something, but I think he'll be definitely looking to come back at this during the race.
Yeah, definitely. I'm currently just struggling with my ACC race control app, but shouldn't be much of a problem. That's the connect button. Right, okay, here we are.
Guven
On board.
and Ackerman are still.
Yeah, they're very, very close to each other. I've got to say, that Mustang in purple is looking very, very nice.
Purple and yellow, I think that's quite a good combination.
Definitely. And it'll be interesting also to see how much of the curb can that Mustang take around here. It's a new car, people are still kind of experimenting with it. And if it's anything like the Bentley, from what I've heard, that thing is built like a tank, and it'll take those curbs very, very nicely.
Yeah, I think you were describing it as the American Bentley earlier, or you'd heard someone else describing
Yes,
it as that.
that's how I had worded it after I attempted to drive it for a little bit around Misano, one of my personal favourite tracks, which is it controversial? Who knows? I don't care. I like it, I'm quick, and that's all that counts. See now, looking for a move. He's getting all up in that McLaren's mirrors. He's not letting him go down without a fight. He nearly lost the back end there through Tamburello.
Yeah, I was
Ferrari
going to
looking
say.
on the outside at Tosa.
I was going to say he's looking around the inside of the McLaren in front, but I think he needs to look more in his mirrors at the Ferrari behind. That Ferrari behind is looking desperate for his position.
Oh, 100%. And it is scary watching all of these cars just absolutely sending it over some of these curbs, because my brain's always telling me that isn't going to work, that car's going to jump in the air, it's going to spin out, but no, the cars, a lot of the setups that you'll see are done in such a way that they can just take these curbs, and there's contact between Ackerman and the Ferrari. Thankfully, the Ferrari keeps it out of the wall, which is, ideal. Gonna look at the replay. Ackerman, just tags himself on the front of that Ferrari. Was that Ackerman?
I think it might have been
moving, or was that the?
I don't know. I can try and find it. So they came out the corner. Given was at the inside, came back on, and just a slight tap on the.
No, that's just Given. He's looking for a gap that just isn't there, and then just hits the back of Ackerman. What a strange incident.
Well, I tell you what, it's one of 19 that we've currently got, so it's gonna be a busy post-race for us.
Oh, definitely. I do not envy you one bit. I'm glad I'm only broadcasting tonight. I don't have the authority for stewarding. I'm glad that we've got experienced hands able to dish out these, I don't want to say punishments, but it kind of isn't it?
Yeah, at the end of the day it is. It's punishments. We've got Bragger in the chat. He's saying that you're natural at commentating. I
had a similar thing that was said by some of my uni friends. Oh, hold on. I'm just looking at between Holter and Blanchett. Holter's now made a move up the inside of Blanchett at Tosa. They're going side by side as they come up now to turn 9. And that's a move made for Holter. Absolutely brilliant stuff. He saw the gap, he went for it, he sent it on the outside of the corner, and that was a car that was off at that. That was Tamara.
That's Tamara,
yes.
Yeah.
Tamara's he's had a spin through turn 9. What's going on there?
It looks like a back marker.
Oh no! A back marker just hits him, spins him round, and he can't rejoin while all those cars are going on. That is a big shame, especially if your name's Tamara, because you've got a lot of cars around. You're fighting for the lead, and suddenly someone at the back just maybe misses their braking point, goes into the back of him. That's definitely going to be a big hit. As we're seeing Blanchett now making another move on a Ferrari. I think that might have been Gevenk that he's just gotten past there. Gevenk must have made some sort of mistake coming through the Ravazzas.
That's the blue flag that hit Tamara.
That was the blue flag. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I as it turns out, I can't read, so there's that too.
De Klerk. I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, going to be some post-race penalties for him, for sure. Obviously, contact with a car a lapping car is never good.
No, definitely not. We don't. It's certainly a bit of a shame to see because those two drivers are going to be in completely different races. And at the end of the day, they're probably just going to end up ruining each other's races. You could say, and my ACC race control isn't working, so I'm just going to kind of give up and just spectate from my own end. Oh, technology, isn't it beautiful? Can't live with it. Can't live without it. Sorry, as I was saying earlier to Braga, I was told a similar thing when I was commentating an event for my uni. I'd made some comments that got laughs from the room. I'd been asked before if I'd done commentary before, and I said no, this was my first time. They're like, "How are you so good?" I say, "I practice in the shower every night." I don't, just for the record. If I did, I wouldn't tell you, which probably giving off mixed signals here. I'm just gonna
Move on. There was a battle happening between Mayer and Gray, but I think Mayer's had a couple bad corners in him, and that gap has started to spread out. Obviously, Mayer's looking to get that P1 position back from Gray. He got it stolen a couple of weeks back in Monza. We're seeing Hardishuk go around the outside of Eusebi at the moment. There's been a couple door banging between these guys, and actually his teammate Bulmer is also looking for a move. He's gone for a dive down the inside of Eusebi, and that could be two places lost in one straight for Eusebi, which it is. The two Simhaven guys have, well, left him for dust, really. At least Hardishuk has. Eusebi's going to be fighting back on Bulmer. But no, a very clean move by those two on the straight there. They sort of ganged up on him and left him for dry.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like one of them made the move, the other one decided to just follow through, and that is probably it's one of the easiest way of making a move because you can't just come across the other car because you don't know how big that gap's going to be. So once that first car's opened up the gap, the most sensible thing to do is to just follow the other car through. I've had that happen a couple of times to me personally. The most interesting thing is when it happens when you've got the car that is behind you for position that follows a car that is lapping you. I think that is probably one of the smarter moves that you can see done here. We can see now coming through Variante Alta, a little bit of a battle happening behind Ackerman again. After the last time he was coming up to Variante Alta with a car in his mirrors, he's probably going to be a little bit nervous as he can. Probably doesn't want another car taking a little. Well, I would say a nibble. It was more of a bite out of his rear left quarter panel. As we're seeing now, them coming through. And that is a car that's off. That is not the way you want to be facing through that corner.
That's Jacob.
That is. Yes, that is not what you want to be seeing.
He's waiting for a suitable gap to get back on, which I think he's found now. That's going to have lost him a lot of positions. I don't know where he qualified. Have a look at that. He qualified in 19, so yeah, he's dropped at least 5 since the start. Speaking of positions gained, Bulmer is 7 positions up from where they started in qualifying. They qualified 13th and they currently sat in 6th. So they've had a stonking race so far. Obviously they've benefited from a couple of the guys losing some positions. Holter had the collision earlier on, and then we saw the back marker collision with Tamara, who's now dropped down 8 places. Ackerman's
100%. I mean, Ackerman's in for his. I think that's his. Yeah, he's just coming out now. He's coming for his first stop. Again, a big thing about races, even if it's only an hour and 15 minutes, one of the best skills a driver can have is just keeping your nose clean. As long as you can just stay out of incidents, keep the car facing the right way, you're almost guaranteed to pick up some positions, because you'll have some other drivers that maybe aren't as aware of their surroundings, who maybe are risking it a little bit more with some riskier setups. So some of the cars that are slidey, as we're seeing now, Ackerman on the back of Mass. Mass just opens the door for him. Ackerman says thank you very much and goes right through.
I think that's probably the smart move made by Mass there. I think he sort of realises, Ackerman's faster than me. There's no point fighting for this. I might as well just let him through and lose less time myself.
If he's got his relative up, he'll see Ackerman's made a pit stop, so he'll know that that's why he's behind him. It's also why he's got Lutner and Gross behind him. Some of the other drivers that are a bit further back have also made a stop, but whether they'll be able to put up much of a fight to Mars, we won't know. Lutner now has made a move up the inside of Mars, who I know he's a very, very solid driver. Back in the 6 hours of Kailami, I remember racing against him. It was a absolute pleasure to race against him, and he's got a lot of potential. I saw how fast he was able to go just from putting in the time. And that is a McLaren facing in the wrong direction.
Will we...
Have we seen what? Is this a replay? Are we going to see what's happened here? Oh, okay, that's Kelly, I think, in the pits.
Yeah, Kelly's in the pit. Is there a car off or?
I don't see. I thought I saw a McLaren facing the wrong way on your stream.
Oh.
Perhaps the game just froze and it looked like the McLaren was facing the wrong way. I do see a yellow flag though. Who's the yellow flag? That's number 48.
Schick, yeah, he's gone off.
Schick in the Lexus. What's happened there then?
Try and catch it.
He must have missed his braking point.
Oh, I've just caught him in the wall.
Well, that is not where you want to be
No.
in, especially at Imola. The gravel is not the best for your grip, as we're seeing now on McLaren up the inside. And yeah, it just looks like he just got off on his own.
Maybe he's had a wheel disconnect because he was sort of just coasting into that wall.
Yeah, it looks like he just wasn't in control of the car. And this is one reason. Wow, hello, that is probably a little bit too much curb to be taking there through Variante Alta. One was taking enough curb to quick, but not enough curb to throw your car to the side on board now with Lutner in the Mustang. Having the red exterior lights just makes it look so much more aggressive on the front. Just barreling down towards Variante Alta. These cars are like works of art with roaring V8 engines and probably enough weight to rival that of an elephant as they're coming now into the Ravazzas. Oh, and they sound great as well.
Yeah.
I'm not biased. I promised I'm not being paid by Ford. I don't have, yeah, I don't know. Who's the CEO of Ford now? I was going to say Henry Ford. That's definitely not right. I don't think he's been around for a long while.
A couple of decades at least.
Yeah.
This gap's actually sort of spread out a little bit now. There's about a second between those. I was seeing Mayer a little bit closer to John Gray throughout this lap, but they've spread out now as well. Current closest battle on track is Blanchette and Tomorrow. I think Tomorrow's made his way past Blanchette and is now looking sort of a halter in front.
Definitely. Tomorrow, of course, he's fallen down from fighting within the podium positions. He's just looking to kind of carve his way back through the field, to try and get right towards the front. So while neither of those drivers have made a pit stop yet, they're probably going to be looking at doing so in the next few laps to try and get a bit of an advantage. Definitely to try and maybe open the gap a little bit. Maybe they might be worried about a little bit of dirty air, because even in GT3 cars, if you're in a downforce car like the McLaren or the Ferrari, hell, any car really, you're going to experience that aero wash. You're going to have a little bit less downforce coming through the corners, so naturally you're going to be a little bit slower. You kind of just have to expect that as you approach the back of some of these cars. Yeah, the Ferrari, of course, one of those downforce cars. Getting that slipstream, of course, to get on the straights is going to be probably a top priority. And look at the gap as well between second and third. That's 14 seconds? Just absolutely cleared the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of spread out now between P1 and P2. There's about a second and a half between Gray and Mayer. The pit stops are going to count for everything, like you said. We saw a couple of weeks ago in the final round of one of our championships. The championship was decided by someone's pit stop. They came into the pits early. They came out in clean air, whereas the others came out into dirty air with some cars to pass, and they lost out because of that. So it's going to matter tonight, especially with these two mandatory pit stops.
Yes, definitely. And unlike in F1 races where you have the different compounds of tyres, pretty sure all compounds of tyres are exactly the same, and the only thing that determines their grip level is whether you can keep the pressures within the optimum window, which normally requires a fair bit of tuning to make sure that the car can keep the tyres in that window. One car that I know struggles a little bit with tyre wear is a Ferrari, and as I'm saying that, we can see
That's Hardager in the pit lane.
Hardager, there we go. I was waiting to see how you pronounced it, so I wasn't going to absolutely botch it. But yes.
I have a feeling that
In,
he's actually got himself potentially a drive-through for speeding in the pit lane.
ooh, that would be certainly not something that would help your race in any way. He's definitely hoping that he can get out into some clean air. Excuse me. And looking at the track map, it looks like Hardager is going to come out, maybe in a clean air, depending on if Liz can keep it going.
Yeah, well,
I mean, even if Liz doesn't keep it going, we can see number 48. Ah, it's a stop go 30 for Hardager.
yeah.
And he's pulled off, returned to the garage. Yeah, that's his race over. That is unfortunate to see. I think I might have made. I would have said the right call. I mean, even then, I probably would have continued, but that's just me. Honestly, if you're in that sort of position, I don't blame him for stopping. The stop go 30 is absolutely deadly.
Well, I mean, there is, but we've got 50 minutes left of this race. Anything can happen, absolutely anything. I mean,
Indeed.
we saw with the endurance on Wednesday and the endurance on Saturday, anything can happen within the space of 20 minutes to an hour. And the thing is with the Discord series as well, what matters is the laps
What
that
about
you
the
do.
inside as well?
So obviously, even if you do get a penalty that's detrimental to your race result, it's worth just doing the laps to get yourself up on the scoreboard for the Discord series.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I understand why he's stopped. We can see Henderson in the pit lane as well, the number 31 Aston Martin. I mean, I don't really want to be taking my eyes off this battle between Adamczyk and Lutner, but yeah, it's looking very, very close throughout the field. Certainly in this kind of battle for what appears to be the battle for probably P14 by the end of this, but definitely for P15, because Adamczyk is not wasting any time. He's sticking right behind him, just trying to hold on to what he's got. And
yeah, I mean, there is the argument of whether Adamczyk needs to do that, because he's still got 2 mandatory pit stops left, and both Ackerman and Lutner have both done one stop. As you see the Banjo Wedge Aston Martin going to the pit lane there. I wonder if Liz is, Adamczyk is going to go in. No, they've gone past. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how this plays out, with obviously all the pit stops and stuff.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of drivers are actually making their stops now. Certainly got a fair few at the very least who are pitting now. It'll be interesting to see how the guys at the front are doing, because I think seemingly everyone in the top 10 has not made a pit stop yet, and whether that includes all the quick drivers or not, I can't tell.
Yeah, Henderson was running in sort of like P5, and they've done one pit stop. You see Holter going to the pit lane now. But
yeah, I think a lot of
Henderson running in P5, Ackerman right behind. There's only about 4 seconds there. Ackerman was originally in about P7, P9 ish. So he's definitely gained some, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of this is going to be strategy. You have to do these 2 pit stops, otherwise, well, you get a big slap on the wrist. I don't know what the actual penalty is for not doing your mandatory pit stops,
I think it's a disqualification.
Right, yeah, no, that's definitely not worth avoiding a pit stop for then. As we can see, this battle here with Gross in the Honda, which is a car that I rarely see get used, and I don't know why.
We saw it the other day. Tom Gross joined us in the Honda. I think he said that he just prefers it, which, I mean, like you said, you don't see very often at all. I know Alex Zakdal, one of our drivers, he used to main it, but ever since sort of the 1.8 update, he's sort of left it alone. But it is nice seeing cars like this on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of how the new NSX looks. But again, maybe that's just me thinking. When I think NSX, I think of the one with the pop-up and down headlights, co-designed by Ayrton Senna. Oh, and that's a Ferrari off. Who's that? That's off the track.
That's kind of a 92 again. That's Jamaica.
De Klerk.
Yeah.
Who I would assume is not related to the Monegasque driver with a similar surname, as we see Gross now coming up the inside of the 666 BMW, sailed by him before the corner even happens. Yeah, I think he might have just had a bad run out of the chicane. He might have seen the Ferrari go off, might have panicked a little bit, and he's now behind the number 29 Honda.
Interestingly enough as well, Tom Gross in the Honda in front has done one pit stop already, so if we look at his position in relation to Ackerman and Luckner, he's going to be up in P8, P9-ish.
It would be very cool to see a Honda fighting up that high as well, because I don't know how the Honda performs, never driven it.
Well, the thing is as well, he qualified in P17, so that's going to be massive for him.
Definitely, and if he can play his cards right, if he can get a really decent strategy down, if he can nail the pit stops and just, I suppose, get a little bit lucky in terms of coming out in a clear air, he could definitely be fighting up there. And I think it'll be very interesting to see a Honda that is that high up the grid, that is really fighting for position. And I'm not talking bad on the Honda here. I think it's an interesting choice. It's not a car that I would have picked, and I don't see a lot of people driving it. So kudos to Gross for driving the Honda. Whether he does well or not, we'll just have to stick to the end and see.
There's no actual close battles going on at the moment. I think with these pit stops, everyone's sort of spread out. You can see from the track map the gaps are quite large.
Yeah, there are barely any, I suppose, races going on at the moment. I think a lot of drivers are just... I think that everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. We've got to that point in the race where, things are going to start to settle down. Drivers are going to settle into their positions, settle into their laps, just kind of keep hitting the apexes and exits and just making sure that they can, keep the car facing the right way, which is, of course, what you want to do for most of the races. Well, all of the races, I suppose, unless you are in Formula Drift, which, unfortunately, we're not. We are still here in Imola, watching a lot of these lovely GT3 cars go around. And as he's saying, there's just not really any real fights happening. All the gaps have kind of settled down. But I'm now looking between Gavek and Blanchette, and is that a lapped car behind them? It is. It seems to be a lapped car. Can't actually tell who that is.
Car 54, that's Van Wedge.
Oh yes, and he has made a pit stop. Yeah. So technically it's not for position, but at the end of the day, you might want a dispatch of Gavek and Blanchette if they are slowing him up. You just see them coming over the crest. It's such a... Well, I don't want to say menacing, but just seeing them come over the crest and barreling towards Variante Alta. As we can see a yellow flag. That's car number 92 off
92
again.
Maya's in the pit lane.
Yes, Maya's in the pits. Of course, one of the people who's fighting for the lead at the moment, probably going to be... I'm just trying to look at the track map, seeing where they're going to come out, as Gavek also comes into the pit lane. Blanchette's going to fly past. This is the whole thing. If you time your pit stops right, you can come out into clean air, and hopefully if that Aston Martin can just get right by him, which he does have a little bit of a gap, front and back. So now he can just focus on getting those laps down. The Audi, again, another car that you don't really see very often. I think it's another one of those cars that definitely takes a specific driving style to be able to kind of be good with it. I've heard it's quite a rowdy car, as we can see a Ferrari in the background rallying a little bit, which is not ideal.
As you were saying about the Audi, we ran it for an endurance not too long ago, and it unfortunately happened to be raining. Obviously, we had the 6 hours of Kyalami this weekend, which was rain, and the guys in the Audi there were really struggling. I mean, it's not raining tonight, so it won't be as big as a deal. But like you said, it does take a particular sort of driving style to get used to it and be able to handle it in certain situations.
100%. again, weather is another big factor in ACC that does play a lot into. That is a very sketchy place to let by a lapped car. If you're coming into Variante Alta, you'll probably want to be letting off a lot before that Aston Martin did. So lots of trust from both of the drivers to just know that Audi's going to blaze past, and that Aston Martin isn't going to make any unnecessary, unpredictable turning moves. Wait, that could have ended very, very badly, and thankfully both drivers just kept it nice and clean, like they were, like they knew what both of them were doing, which is always good. And now I'm just looking at the gap up front now, which is, what is it, like 25 seconds, and neither of those drivers have made a stop just yet. So they might be planning to do a little cheeky stop to maybe towards the. I don't even know what their strategy is going to be, because we are almost halfway through the race now, and neither of them have made their stops yet. So
I think
are they going to go in at the end and just go in for like, what, 1 litre of fuel so it can count as a pit stop?
Yeah, I think a lot of the strategy that we're going to see today is going to be dependent on how much they've put in before the race start. Obviously, when they were setting the strategies at the start of the race, sets out how long they can go into the race. You're saying they can come in and sort of dump a couple litres in there. I think that the best strategy to do is fill the car all the way to the top and fill in what you need towards the end. Obviously, the car's going to struggle to run 75 minutes straight. So they're going to need to fill up with fuel at some point. Tyres is definitely not something that I think we're going to see tonight. Looking at it now,
Fire coming into the pits as well.
Alta must have taken tyres, or at least damage, because he had a 32-second pit stop. Same with Gaven, who's now unfortunately having some wheel issues, it looks like.
Well, the car looks like it bounced as it came back onto the track and he turned in one direction.
Yeah,
like there was something broken.
Yeah,
like he ran over something.
Yeah, it's like the wheel just snaps to the left. Yeah, you see it happening there. So that's definitely a wheel issue. Hopefully he's able to get it back going. That is not having a good time. I mean, look at the steering wheel.
Yeah, no, that's something that you don't see every day.
Yeah,
and he's come back at the pits. That is an unfortunate issue, and unfortunately, unlike back when they did the Le Mans 24, I forgot which driver it was that just had a spare rig sitting around, but just swapped it mid-race and was able to get the car going again. Not sure if any other drivers here are going to have enough budget for just a second rig to just sit around and hot swap during a race. We can see that's Meyer in the Audi. Is this their second and last stop now?
This is their second stop, and it was 32 seconds long.
So it looks like they might have gotten a tiny bit of damage or something.
I think it might be tyres.
Tyres make sense, yeah, because tyres are 30 seconds, I think, and then depending on the amount of fuel, that might add a little bit of time, but the other 2 seconds, not sure where that's come from, but thankfully, he's found himself in a lovely bit of clean air. Just look at the amount of time he's got between him and the next cars up. I mean, yes, the next car up is the leader, and Meyer is quite far back from them, from what I can see on the telemetry. But those cars are just coming out of Tosa now, as Meyer is just coming into... I have a track map. Hold on, I can name the corner. The Villeneuve chicane. There we go. That's what it's called. I'll be referencing my track map more. I have it here for a reason. I'm just not. Should have done my revision before the race.
I think it's a massive gamble that Meyer's taken.
Definitely. I mean, he is the currently the highest up driver to have made both pit stops, as Tamara is now in for his stop. I'm also keeping my eye on the battle for P9, with Gross only about 9/10 behind number 927 Mustang. I should probably be looking at Twitch chat as well, because I am currently not able to. I will mute the stream so I don't hear myself and cringe. There we go.
Alright, there's not much in there anyway. No. So if you are in the chat, if you are watching, send us a message, keep us entertained.
Yeah, give us a little hello. Tell me how mint I am at commentating, optionally.
If there's anyone you want us to focus on as well, we can always switch over to.
100%, and I will silently judge how awesome their livery looks. Again, I think one of the best things about ACC, because the previous sim racing game I did was F1, you'd have so much more expression, I want to say, because you can just make your car look however you want, and I think that that's awesome. I think that the fact that ACC just lets you paint your car whatever you want is brilliant. You can have a full, proper racing livery, or you can paint it hot pink with a white roof and flames on the side. You know, do whatever you like. Because that's what's brilliant about ACC. You can just kind of do what you want. If you've got the creative know-how how to build a livery in ACC, then you know, you can do what you like. I mean, within reason, of course. You've got the ACM guidelines and all that other stuff, but just the amount of expression that a lot of these drivers have to be able to just, you know, paint their car however they want and to just roll with it. It's like you're driving a piece of yourself, as we can see. Blanchett in the pit lane now for his first stop. He's gone this far without making a pit stop, which I would normally say is challenging. But in these cars, you can go like an hour and a half sometimes without needing to stop for fuel or tires, weather permitting. Yeah, in a race like this, you know, normally you'd have one mandatory pit stop, and now would be the time when you'd be making that stop about halfway through the race so that you can keep going. But you've got one more to do, so it's all about when you're wanting to do your second one, which is going to be something that a lot of the drivers have probably never had to think about before. I can't think of any other races that have been this length with 2 mandatory pit stops, but it's certainly adding a new element of spice. As we're seeing now, a lot of these cars, again, they're just kind of filtering out into their own places. Everyone's got their own race going on. I don't see a lot of close gaps. Maz and Liz, though. John Gray in the pit lane. Yeah. Wow, okay. This might temporarily promote Eusebi up into first place, but I'm also having a little look at the gap between Maz and Liz, but it looks like Maz has made some sort of mistake and has gone off and has allowed Liz to go right through. Into 17th position. Brilliant thing about ACM as well, don't need to finish in the top 10 to get points, so I don't need to worry about pushing too hard, because basically everyone gets points. You just get less as you go a little bit further down. It's just everyone's competitive. There's a car coming out of the pit lane, that's John Gray. We can see Liz just past him now. Gray is going to want to get him out of the way. Because that is going to be blue flags for Liz, who is definitely quite far behind Gray in terms of time. That blue flag is flying, but I think he might just be waiting to find a good area to let him pass. Bad thing about Imola, I think, unlike Monza, which is chicanes broken up by long straights, this is chicanes broken up by relatively short straights. So Liz is going to have to find some suitable place to let him by, or is Gray just going to just go for a move? And it looks like he's picked the second option. He has pressed number 2 on the answering machine and has gone right past the Ferrari. Telling through now, Alco Minerale. Gray is currently the fastest driver out on the track with the purple lap. I'm not sure how to check what his fastest lap is.
141.1.
41.1. That's almost quali pace, I would say. If he can get to the 40s in this race, I will be thoroughly impressed.
Going back to what I said earlier about Maya's pit stop being a gamble, I don't think it is anymore, because the gamble was whether or not John Gray is going to take tyres. Because if he didn't, that's 20 or so seconds that John Gray gains, and obviously he might lose some from tyre wear. But he's already taken tyres on his first pit stop.
Right. So it hasn't been much of a gamble then, because Gray has also stopped for tyres.
I mean, obviously he's got to stop again, and whether that be fuel or just stopping for 1 second or whatever. But yeah, it seems like
in the pit lane, definitely.
It seems like whatever John Gray does, if it's less than 10 seconds, he will be still in contention with Maya. I mean, obviously, again, if he comes in for tyres, then he's going to lose out quite a lot. But I don't think he will now. But yeah, it was interesting to see that, especially on the first pit stop. I mean, to be fair, what we might see is John Gray going and onto maybe the final lap and crossing the finish line in the pits. Gross and Lith are actually having a little bit of a battle. We saw Lith giving way to John Gray a moment ago. Looks like it's going to be another dive up the side. I think Gross is probably going to come out clean from this one, and there is still side-by-side action, but Lith is sort of backed out from it now. Gavin in the chat, how's the race going from your side? Very well, actually. We've had some close battles. Obviously, it's spread out a little bit now with the pit stops, but it's interesting to see all the different strategies that people are going for. We see a lot of people pitting earlier, such as Mayer and Ackerman and all that. And then you've got the people that are pitting quite a lot later, like Gray's only done one pit stop so far, and Giuseppe and Corti have still got their 2 pit stops to do. So certainly a lot going on in this race that we've got to comment on.
Yeah, well, while there aren't many races that are happening through the pack, I think that once everyone else has made their stop, the pack is going to bunch up a lot more. Mayer, of course, being the leading driver to have done both of their stops. Corti and Giuseppe, the 2 drivers who have not even made a single stop yet. We can see now a car coming out the pit lane. That is the Mustang of Lutner. There's a yellow flag.
That's number 92 again, I think. They're not having a good race, number 92. They've been off quite a lot.
Yes, there are some setups that you can take for the Ferrari that do make the rear end a little more unstable, a little more, I would say, like the McLaren, which, again, in ACC, that is seemingly the fastest way around a track, especially around any track, really. As we can see, is that Lutner going through the middle of those 2 cars. He just absolutely weaved his way past Pryor, saying, "Get out my way, sunshine." He's got his left indicator on. Don't know what he's doing.
We've got it on the replay now.
Just weaves his way between them, threading the needle through them.
That was...
What an impressive move.
That was to get back... that was to unlap himself, actually. So I don't know what Pryor's going to think about that. Obviously, it's a roadblock on his way now. He's currently sat in P6 with one more pit stop, whereas Lutner's down in P17 with no more pit stops to do. So, I mean, it depends on the pace that he's got.
Yeah, let's hope his engineer comes on and tells him he's still got his indicator on, because unfortunately he's not got someone in the passenger seat to just kind of flick that lever back up. Whether they even still use levers in GT3 cars, I'd probably say no. It's probably just a button that he needs to press, but... well, he might have been listening to the stream, because it looks like he's actually turned his indicator off now, so, there we go.
Maybe he heard you in the background.
Maybe. And if he has, hello. And, yeah, no, let's just keep seeing how this race is going to unfold. And, yeah, no, he's just gone right back past me. He said, "You're not unmapping yourself, sunshine." He's just going to have to stick behind that Aston Martin. That might be a little bit of a knock to the ego, but again... it's that patience you need, and I think especially at Imola, the slipstream from Pryor, if Lutner can just kind of keep himself on the rear of the Aston Martin, he'll be able to actually get right back. Well, we might be able to make a gap to the to some of the cars behind, but even the car behind looks like it's a car that's lapping him, and yes, that is Tamara, who is also yet to make his final stop as Holter in the Audi now, coming in for his final stop. We've got a lot of drivers now that are seemingly looking to make one last stop in this race, coming in the last 25 minutes here at Imola. And it feels like I haven't stopped talking. I mean, even though the race has been somewhat boring in some of these parts, we've still got some tense moments through the field, so all the more reason to keep watching, all the more reason to follow, all the more reason to subscribe to ACM. Once again, I will say that we've got the, if you've got Amazon Prime and you have your Twitch account linked to your Amazon account, you can subscribe to a channel on Twitch completely for free, and why not slide that sub over here to the lovely people at ACC Career Mode, because who can argue with free, right? So any primers in chat, get those subs rolling. We'd love to have more people around here, and we thoroughly appreciate all the support that everyone gives us. So there we go. Little bit of a shameless promo there.
Well, I'm going to add on a bit more. If you are watching and you're not already with us, the link to our Discord is in the chat. You can also scan the QR code, and that'll take you straight to our Discord. Come and join in. We run about 4 or 5 races a week at the moment, all sort of endurance to sprint formats. And also got the Discord series, which we're about 60% of the way through at the moment. So if you do fancy joining us, go on the Discord, see what we've got going on. Have a lot of it. Also check out Uplay. It's a very good website to get some cracking deals on any game. It's got stores from Nintendo Switch to Steam to PlayStation. You can get about 80% off some of the top-notch games. Also, if you're looking into getting into ACC, they do about 80% off the base game. The DLCs are each about 78% off. I mean, ACC, the normal AC, you can get probably all the DLCs in the game itself for under £10. So certainly check them out. The link is in the chat as well. They run some cracking deals.
Can't argue with those types of discounts, especially on such a wonderful game. Personally, I've been looking at getting the GT2 DLC and the eventually I might get the Nordschleife DLC, but I feel like that's more like a final boss of ACC, which I'd want to tackle after I've learned every other track. I can't wait to see the Traxian lap guide video for the Nordschleife and it being an hour long as he meticulously explains every single corner and tells me all of their names. Because we're seeing now battle between is this Henderson and I don't know if that's Boomer, Balmer. I really don't want to have to mispronounce it. But
you can always just call it Julian, the first name.
That would probably work too. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull up Google Translate on my end, see how the Dutch Google Translate says a surname, and I'll try and do it like that, just so I'm not botching anything. If in doubt, Google Translate, which my languages teachers have always told me is an awful tool that you should never use. I agree. However, in something like this, like this situation, Balmer. There we go. Okay, so it's Balmer. There we go. I've figured it out because Google Translate has helped me figure out someone's surname. So. Sorry to my French teacher back at 6th form, I've used it for good this time. My apologies. You can see now, a lot of the pack is starting to kind of settle down into these sorts of gaps, and a lot of the drivers now that haven't made their pit stops, it looks like a lot of them are probably going to get passed by Maya. Maya is at least going to get up into P4, maybe even P3 after the drivers ahead of him make their stop. I'm interested to see what Uzebi has lined up, because he hasn't made a pit stop yet. He's got 2 to make, he's got 20 minutes to make them, and he's got the entire field behind him. He's got Gray with about a 24-25 second gap, which he's definitely going to lose in about 1 pit stop, but he's got another one to make after that. So, curious to see what Uzebi's got planned.
Funnily enough on that, the other day, Wednesday, when we had the mini endurance series, he was about one of 4 drivers that managed to find a loophole in the system and find out that you only needed to stop for a couple seconds rather than 25 to 30. And I know since then he's been sort of planning his strategy for this race as well. He was messaging me, just confirming the fact that he only had to stop for a second. So I don't know if he's got something quite major planned, but I don't know, he might try and find a way to find a loophole again.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have to stop for tyres, and you don't have to stop for fuel, technically you can just put 1 litre of fuel in the car, you'll be stationary for like maybe a couple of seconds, and then you'll be right on your way again. So if it is just not even stopping for tyres over 75 minutes, and just kind of doing a little splash and dash, just trying to get your way to the end purely on fuel, because the tyres on these cars can definitely last the full 75 minutes, but you might lose a little bit of pace toward the end. So something like that would definitely be an interesting strategy and would certainly be, at the very least, viable. for a race like this. We can see Henderson peeling into the pit lane now. So that'll be Baumer with a little less to worry about. He can probably breathe a sigh of relief as he no longer sees an Aston Martin in his rearview mirror. I mean, he might see his teammates McLaren, but he's about three odd seconds back. So he can. I don't want to say he can relax, because you can never truly relax. And someone else who definitely isn't going to be relaxing is the Mustang of Lutner, who has just made his way past Liz. Of course, Liz was fighting because it is technically for position, but Liz still yet to make their final pit stop, as well as we see Van der Wedge is I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Van der Wedge, I think. Just go with it. It's the worst that can happen. You just call him Dylan.
Van der Wedge. Okay, cool. That is what Mr. Google Translate has told me.
We are sorry if we butcher these. Please do.
Yeah, no, we are. I'm incredibly sorry. I only know a few languages and how to pronounce surnames, and we have a wide variety of people from all across the place. I
mean,
with languages I don't speak. So,
to be fair, even with names like my last name is Goswell, and I've heard it being pronounced Goshwell before, so I don't even know how that's.
Yeah, where's the H coming from?
Yeah, I don't know, but look, it can happen with anything. We apologise for it. We just ask if you can, correct it. And say it properly, and we'll do it for next time, really.
Yeah, and with my last name, sometimes people misspell it, so I'm less like a being from the heavens and more like something you'd read about in your maths textbook. So if you know, you know. I'm not going to explain for those on the stream, but if you've raced with ACM before, you probably know my actual last name, and you probably know how some people misspell it. It is funny for the first 2 or 3 times. When you've seen someone misspell it for the 10th time, you start to get just a little bit ticked off.
Yeah, but have you ever actually had someone call you Angle?
I've never had anyone call me Angle, no. I've only had to type it out, misspelling it.
I tell you what, next time you're racing and I'm commentating, I'll especially make sure that I call you Angle.
Please, for the love of God, do not. As you can see now, Baumer comes into the pit lane. Tamara is coming out of the pit lane. Certainly some action going on as Ezebi's now gotten his way past the Aston Martin. Again, still yet to make his pit stops, and with 16 minutes to go, I see another yellow flag. The 666 BMWs had a bit of an off on the exit of the first chicane.
That's a damn shame.
I think they just might have... Yeah, they might have just lost it over the curb. On the exit, they might have just run a little bit wide, ran into the grass, and probably spun it. I don't know if we can get a replay on that, but if we can, I'd love to see if what I have said has happened has actually happened, because that's probably what happened. So coming in the first chicane, I'm going to guess 2 wide on the exit, gets into the grass, and spins out.
I didn't do the replay for long enough, so we didn't see any of it.
Okay, well, if that is what's happened, okay, right, we're actually going to try and see what's happened this time. Here we come, through turn number 1, the first chicane.
Oh.
Yeah, just loses it on the curb. And I was thinking the BMW would be like, yum, 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 eating up those curbs, but no. It appears as though it is full from its wide portion of curbs. And talking of curbs, we can see P7's Henderson absolutely clouting the curbs, coming through Variante Alta, right on the back of Tumara, just about 7/10 between the two. If he can get a really good run out of the two Ravazzas, he'll be able to probably get a move done, especially if he can stay on the back of him like he is right now, just getting that slipstream. And the Aston Martin as an absolute rocket ship on the straights. Well, I say straights, there's really only one straight where he can properly make a move. That gap's going to start coming down 3/10 now. Is he going to go for a really silly move here into turn 1? No, he keeps his sensible hat on and decides, you know what, I'm just going to stick with you. I'm just going to keep behind you. And you know what, that is a sensible thing to do. Just follow your opponent's line, wait for them to make a mistake, because if you can stay in their mirrors for long enough, that gap is going to open, and it's going to be then your responsibility to just kind of work your way up there. It's probably the safest way to drive, and it's the most frustrating for your opponent because they never see it coming. As we can see now, the 666 BMW just getting out of the way of these guys. So we can see, I mean, have they made the final stop yet? They have not. So they are still yet to make one last pit stop, as is Gray, Pryor, and Blanchette. Izebi has a now 15-second gap to Gray behind. It's come down by 10 seconds since the last time I checked.
So I don't think this strategy from Izebi is particularly working out how he envisioned. He's losing a lot of time to the guys behind, whether that be tyres or what. But he's been racing for an hour now, so he's gonna have to make a stop soon.
Yeah, has Gray actually stopped for tyres? Because if he has, that would explain how this gap has come down by about 10 seconds.
Gray stopped for tyres on his first one. Obviously, he's got one more left to do.
I don't think he'll be stopping for tyres on. Yeah, I don't think he'll be stopping for tyres on this next one. It would be silly to do that. He'd probably just come in for maybe 10, 20 litres of fuel just to get the car over the line to finish off, because it'll still count as a pit stop even if you don't do your tyre swap. This isn't one of those races where for every pit stop we mandate that you also change tyres. You just have to be in the pit lane and, you know, be stopped for an amount of time, whether that's 1 litre of fuel, 100 litres of fuel, or 5 minutes worth of damage from blowing up your car by smashing it into a barrier. You know, it's all... Any pit stop's a pit stop, as long as the car is stopped in the pits. I don't know where I'm going with this, really, but someone who does know where they're going is Henderson in P7, just a 9/10 gap, just under a second. Unfortunately, no DRS on these cars, but it is going to be close enough for tomorrow to probably be worrying a little bit about that Aston Martin. We're on board now, coming through whatever this corner's called. I don't think they actually have a name for it. I think it's just turn 8.
Just call it
Aqua Mineral. No name. There we go. Coming through Aqua Minerale now. I don't know what to call it. In fact, as we see, Tamara's going off, taking the Max Verstappen line out of Aqua Minerale, but thankfully just keeping the car ahead. I think with that wider line, he was actually able to carry, I dare say, a bit more momentum through that corner. Look at how much these cars are just absolutely running over those curbs like they're not even there. The Aston Martin, I know, is especially good over the curbs. It's a very, very stable platform. The McLaren less so, but I think at Imola, it's very important to have your car set up to just go over the curbs. It is the fastest way around this track, but it can unsettle the car if you hit it at a wrong angle, as we have seen a good few times in this race.
Well, this is currently the closest battle that we've got on track, really. Everyone else is very far spread apart. There's about 0.6 tenths between Henderson and Tamara. Obviously, Tamara at the start was leading the race for a while, and then they obviously dropped back the contact they had. And Henderson started in about P5 sort of area. I don't know how they've happened during their race particularly, but it's good to see these two battling. Obviously, there's a couple guys in front, Blanchette, Pryor, Gray, and Izebi, that have still got to do their pit stops. So I don't know where they'll gain positions from that, but. Yeah, this is the closest battle on the track currently, 0.4 seconds between them.
It's looking very, very close between the two. You know, with Henderson right in his mirrors, you know, Tamara might be just looking at his mirrors occasionally, just making sure that Aston Martin isn't getting any closer. And if he does, then that anxiety is going to start creeping up. I mean, maybe it's just me talking from my personal experience, but if I'm seeing a car getting closer and closer in my mirrors, I'm going to start worrying more and more about how to defend. Obviously, to be more consistent, you just have to look less in your mirrors and look more ahead of you. And the only reason you should ever be looking in your mirrors is if you know that the guy behind you is close enough to make a move, and if he's really going to go for it. But I think if Tamara can just focus and just keep putting in some good consistent laps, they could be seeing a really good finish. If we see Pryor now in the pits looking to maybe come out of the pit lane, he might end up... I'm just trying to see where he's going to come out now. Nearing into the pit lane, Blanchette past.
Or maybe just in front of Izebi.
Well, I'm looking at the battle between... yeah, he's behind Tamara and Henderson, so he's been jumped by them. Were they both a lap down? Because my standings have not updated just yet. Yes. No, he was not. Pryor has fallen back a couple of positions from those other drivers who've kind of done a bit of an undercut. Maya, of course, the lead car. Everyone who has made both of their stops can see just how much that McLaren can actually take those curbs. I mean, maybe it's just me being a not very fast driver, but the way that McLaren's taking those curbs is just, it's astounding. Like every time I try and take the curbs, my car just decides to go off to Narnia, which is not where the racing line is, unfortunately. Because as much as I'd like to see a Lion Witch and Wardrobe, it is unlikely that I'll be able to see that if I'm facing through the front of the car. And I can never quite understand why the cars veer off to the right, outside on the exit of Acqua Minerale. Is there like a bump or something, or does it just allow them to carry more momentum? I asked that question during F1. Don't think I got it answered, and I'm asking it again. Whether it'll get answered here, who knows?
Which corners are that?
So out of Acqua Minerale, it's the kind of right-hander with a slight left kink, leading up to Variante Alta.
So it's the one that Car 92 is going through now. This one.
Yes. So this corner here, going to the left, and then they veer to the right before going to. The logical part of my brain is, can't you just stick to the left-hand side and take what is in theory the shortest line through the left-hand kink and open up? Well, that's not the line through Variante Alta. That's a bit cheeky. So yeah, I don't know why they veer off to the right there. Like, in my head, I'm thinking that's... Surely you just want to be facing the right way. As Eusebi's making their first pit stop now. I wonder what they're doing, because they seem to stop for a little while, as they're now just coming out of the pits now. Gray again, still yet to make his last pit stop. There's a car that's gone off just ahead of him, it looks like. Is that Ackerman? Is that Ackerman in the Mustang who's having a bit of trouble? It looks like it is.
Looks like he's
trying to let Gray by. There's barely enough room for Gray to get by him there. I think Ackerman was just trying to wait for a moment to get past, as Baumer now looking to get past by the same Mustang. You can see him almost losing the rear end on the exit of Tosa, but just that American muscle overpowers that McLaren. Absolutely flies by him on the exit of Tosa. Incredible racing.
The interesting thing now is Maya is about 50 seconds behind John Gray on track. The shortest time on the grid that anyone has spent in the pit lane total, so that includes driving through and stopping, was 45 seconds.
Wow.
So
yeah, so you drive through, you stop, and you come back out, and that's still a lot of time. So Maya could still get the win here, depending on what Gray and Eusebi decide to do. As I'm looking now at Ackerman going side by side with Baumer through the Ravazza, sorry, and wow, Baumer's just gone right up his inside. He said, "Thank you very much, I'll take that." Ackerman looking on the left-hand side of that McLaren. He's not going to let that position go that easy, as he's coming out now of the. Well, I don't want to say coming out the final corner, but he's got that momentum, that V8 American V8 motor powering up to the first corner. Hitting the brakes nice and early. Can he get through? Oh my gosh, that is Baumer just ahead of him. Just able to keep it in front of the Mustang. The Mustang seems to be struggling a lot through some of these corners. As we can see, yeah, 92's had another off in the background, but I'm going to keep my eye on this battle because I'm practically on the edge of my seat, which is very much not good for my neck, which I'm still unfortunately having a bit of a problem with, which is why I'm not racing today. Sitting here commentating, watching all the action unfold, and I've got to say, it is beautiful. Are those two cars that have stopped, or is that just Declare being quite slow? It looks like he's peeling off the racing line. Is he going to go back into the garage, or is he... He's completely stopped now.
Get it back
and
going.
Back up.
If it was wheel problems or whatever.
Yeah, that is a confusing sight to behold. All the Simhaven guys seem to be having a lovely time out there. Tumara just behind Maya, practically uninterrupted. Baumer being able to fight off Ackerman, racing with that beautiful Phoenix SimSport Ford. We're looking now at the P13 Mustang of Lutner. I've got to say, this new gen Mustang is a very, very pretty sight to see, and I never thought I'd be seeing a car like this in this game. I know a lot of my own teammates at Blue Shark have absolutely loved this Mustang, so much so that my currently the team boss is basically not playing ACC anymore because of the Corvette coming to iRacing. So I wonder if it'll only be a matter of time before ACC adds that car in as well. Probably won't be, because I don't know if the Corvette does any SRO license stuff, but that's a question for another day, because we've got a brilliant battle here. Is Corti... no, that is Corti actually fighting with Lutner here. Uzebi comes in for their final stop. But what of Gray? He's still going. Lap 41 of the race. Lutner is now looking at the inside into turn 1. Doesn't make that move. Probably thankful that he didn't make that move, because that would have been a dive and a half. Unfortunately, don't get points for the biggest dive.
We've seen Corti be a little bit unsteady in some corner exits, so maybe sort of Lutner's going for the smart option and just holding back and waiting for that mistake to happen if it does. Obviously, towards the end of this race here, 3 minutes to go, you're going to want to keep your car on track.
Yeah, ideally you actually want to keep your car on the black stuff and not going into the dirt or the gravel or anything else. I think if Corti's gone for a bit more of an unstable setup, then yeah, it's likely that they're struggling on the corner exits. From my own experience, I'll say McLaren is a little bit twitchy on corner exit. You've got to be very, very careful with how you put the power down. So it's definitely a bit more of an unstable car than probably some drivers are used to, but Corti does seem to be handling it relatively well, and Lutner is just keeping behind. But can Corti open up that gap? I'm seeing it in about half a second, but it's probably going to be increasing now. I'm going to look a little bit further up the grid. Henderson and Tamara are fighting now.
And Uzebi came out only 2.5 seconds behind them, so he's up into P5 as Uzebi, and he's started in P8, so he's gained 3 positions from whether that be just racing clean or his position gains. But no, he's done well. And
Gray's in the pits as well. John Gray in the pit lane. I'm keeping my eye on this. Is he gonna? I think he's just gonna come out. Yeah, clear of Maya completely.
And it's about what I was sort of expecting as well, because obviously 45 seconds is the lowest time you can spend in the pit lane, and Maya was about 50 seconds behind, so it's worked out as I expected.
Yeah, that is just very, very well played. I think Gray has just... This race has just gone absolutely into Gray's hands, just playing the pit stop game correctly, keeping his nose clean, keeping his car facing the right way, and most importantly, being absolutely rapid. Still 5 seconds up on Maya, but I'm gonna be looking a little further back now to Henderson. Of course, I'm watching both the stream and other action happening on chat, making sure I don't miss anything that's happened. Lutner has managed to make his way past Corti as well, so I think Corti has maybe made a bit of a mistake. I don't know when that happened, but it certainly did. We're looking still at... yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what happened, and he just loses it through Tosa, gets collected by the BMW, and the Mustang goes right through. Yeah, you were right. Corti just lost it coming through as now. That was a close call from John Gray.
He certainly knows the width of his car.
Now, what's he going to do here? Is he going to go for one more lap? Is there going to be one more lap of this race? Or is he going to take the flag?
That's going to be the flag, I think.
Wait.
No.
No, he passed it just before.
Wow.
To be honest, he could have slowed down and just taken that win, but it's like he's going for a bit of a victory lap here.
Do you know what? If he I'm not trying to put commentator's curse or anything, but if he does have a mistake this lap, he's going to be kicking himself that he didn't wait that 1 second for the race to finish.
100%. All he could have done is just let off the throttle a little bit as he came towards the line, and that would have been race over, and he'd have been able to just hold P1. But I think he's doing a bit of a victory lap, just trying to, I don't want to say celebrating too early, because I think it's a very well-deserved victory if he can keep it across the line. But I'm still watching this battle between Henderson and Tamara. Uh, this is absolutely brilliant racing, and even though we've had quite a busy race, we've had a lot of different drivers up and down the grid, both looking to make some moves, and we've had lots of strategies that are clashing, I want to say.
I think on the final lap, Pryor's just had a disconnect.
Oh, that is a... Yeah, Pryor has had a disconnect. That is a big, big shame. If he can get back into the server, he might just be able to get a few positions, but that's one of the downsides of sim racing. Sometimes you'll just have sudden disconnects and just your race is just over because your internet just decides to die. As we see, car 317 gets a drive-through for track limits, but since it's the last lap...
Is across the line. He's celebrating
Yeah.
there, flashing lights, going side to side. Very well done from John Gray. Obviously, he had the moments at the start, but if we can get him in for an interview, I'd definitely try and do so. But yeah, very well done to John there. It's a good result from him.
Yeah. I wasn't paying enough attention, and quite frankly, I should have been, because that is a very, very well-deserved victory. Tamara as well now, coming through the Ravazza for the final time. He's got Henderson just behind him.
Both cars are sort of celebrating there.
Now comes across the line to take P3. Henderson just behind in fourth. Very, very well fought for both of those drivers. We're seeing some of the lapped cars now finishing their race as well, with Lutner being the first of the lapped cars to finish in P11, Corti in 12th, Gemiol in 13th, but it's likely that's going to drop a little bit further because of the 30-second penalty for not serving the drive-through after getting track limits on the final lap of the race.
I actually think that the 30 seconds is a lesser penalty.
Yeah, probably. I think 30 seconds is less than a drive-through. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't serve your drive-throughs in the race, but hey, I mean, it looks like it's less of a penalty. Ackerman for Phoenix SimSport finishing the race P7, I think, overall. We're seeing lots of drivers who finish the race and then leave. Yeah, it's P7 for him. P8 for Blanchett, P9 for John Kelly, and Gross rounding out the top 10 in the Honda. It's actually a surprisingly varied top 10. McLarens, Ferraris, of course, your normal contenders, but we can also see an Aston Martin, one of the Mustangs, and a Honda just slipping in there. Just kind of, it's brilliant to see such variety throughout the field, and to see some of these more, I don't want to say unique cars, but cars that you don't really see very often in a lot of these races finishing up so highly. We had some other sort of what seemed to be disconnects or other things that happened throughout the race, which have promoted some of these drivers up a couple of positions. Pryor finishing P15, 2 laps down, unfortunately, because that disconnect towards the end. Wow.
I'm going to try and get some drivers in for a post-race interview. We're going to bring Tomorrow in now. I'll see if I can get John Gray on board as well. But no, excellent race from everyone. Ezebi's just saying now he had about 1.8 litres left in the tank. So yeah, mental going. I'll bring Tomorrow in now and we'll give him a post-race interview. Good evening, mate.
Oh, hello.
How was that?
I don't know. I was quite mad at the beginning of the race, but
you recovered it very well.
Yeah, from P12 all the way to P3. Nice recovery.
Yeah, very good recovery drive. It was unfortunate to see that at the start there. Obviously, you two were having a very close battle for sort of the first 4 or 5 laps. But no, very good recovery drive from you. What did you think of the strategy as well? Was there anything that you changed sort of in hindsight now?
Strat, I think it was fine. Honestly, I think I maximized the strat as much as possible. Like maybe putting a bit on optimal points because I did get held up quite a bit. But yeah, like the race mostly came like the win mostly came to the end after like the first 10 minutes when I was like pushed and bullied off the track. Yeah, I was quite mad then, but no, it's fine. P3, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I think I'd happily take that. I mean, 30 seconds down, you definitely could have been contention for the top two, sort of maybe even podium position there. But yeah, no, very good recovery drive. Like I said, it's unfortunate to see the incident, but yeah, well done on your race. I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear that you found it a good recovery drive as well. So yeah, are you joining with us on any other races coming up? We've got the
Ooh.
high temperature challenge
I'm
on Tuesday.
yeah on Tuesday maybe. For this Sunday, I'm not sure as I'm there's a qualifier for SRO Esports, so I don't think I'm gonna be driving that race.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But yeah, high temperature on Tuesday, and then we've just released one for Thursday as well. So fancy joining us. We'll see you there.
Yeah, I'll see.
Cool.
Also, my teammate at the last, it was like 4 seconds ahead. He could have we could have had a fight, but he fucked up to his last pit stop and accidentally changed his tires. So.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of your guys on the grid tonight from Simhaven. I think one of them
Yeah, I
unfortunately sat
think
in the
that
pit lane, but
yeah, he got a stop and go. So
yeah, no, we saw that quite early on. But no, yeah, it was good to see you guys in the grid, and I look forward to seeing you back with us soon.
yeah, cool. See you, mate.
So thank you everyone for joining. That was 75 minutes Pit Stop Prodigy V2. Obviously it's part of the Discord series. Unfortunately we weren't able to get John Gray along for a post-race interview, so we just stuck with tomorrow. But that was a good race. Any post-race thoughts from you, Sam?
Honestly, first time in the commentator booth, and the race has not disappointed. I would say I've been on the edge of my seat, but that would be a lie. I have been relaxing quite nicely. I'm just glad I didn't have to get involved in any of the action that was happening on track, because I would have probably lost my nerve a good couple of times. Yeah, I mean, the ability of the drivers to kind of uh, have their pit stops thought out and just think, right, I'm just going to stick to this, and to just kind of it's an odd situation where you have two mandatory pit stops in such a short race. And having that element of strategy, I think, definitely added a little bit of spice to the race. I'm looking forward to seeing any other races with a kind of similar format. I know I've got some other races coming up on Tuesday and on Thursday. Very much looking forward to seeing those.
Yeah, we've got the Splash and Dash sprint, which is sort of similar. 45 minutes, one mandatory pit stop. So
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a very interesting race. Hopefully, you'll actually see me on track there if I have fully recovered by then. It's been an absolute lovely time commentating here with ACM.
yep.
Am I allowed to do a little promo for ACM here at the end,
No,
just for
absolutely. Go
anyone
ahead.
still watching? Yeah. So if you have Amazon Prime and you've got your Twitch account linked to your Amazon account, you have a free sub that you can give to any Twitch channel. And hey, we're any Twitch channel, so come and throw your sub over here, because at the end of the day, who's going to argue with free? It helps to support us, and it means that you get to watch some brilliant racing without any ads. Also, check out Uplay for some brilliant deals on games, especially on ACC. If you're looking to get involved, ACC is heavily discounted on Uplay as well as all of its DLC. So if we ever have any races where you think, oh, maybe I don't have the DLC yet, just check out Uplay, because they've got lots of DLC, lots of other games, anything you can think of, really, you can find it on Uplay. So make sure you check them out. Make sure you join the Discord as well. Check us out on SimGrid. We've got a lot of championships coming up, and we'd love to see you there.
Yep. Thank you everyone for joining. For now, that has been ACM, and we'll see you probably on Sunday.